Hi, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Barely Inbounds. Hey, Dave, how was your weekend?
Sound not bad, but not as good as yours because you're coming off a hot streak here. You picked Zach Johnson to win the Valero Texas Open. Nice job.
And he did it in pretty good fashion, beating James Driscoll in a playoff, making a nice 10-footer on the first playoff hole for the victory. And you have to give Johnson a little credit because of the fact that, he really got it roaring on the weekend. He shot 60 in the third round. And you know what? That's the 21st 60 shot on the PGA Tour. And guess who was the last person to do it?
Bobby Jones. No, wait, he didn't play on the PGA Tour.
It was Zach Johnson. He was the last person to do it. He's the only person to shoot 260s. He did it 2007 at the Tour Championship. He did it here. And, the only person to do it. That's a pretty remarkable little, thing. Shooting 60 is kind of like being runner-up in a tournament. It's just one step away from shooting, the magical 59. But, still in all, a good week for him, and even James Driscoll, first time we've seen him up there.
Stats. You give me stats all the time, but I play from the heart, Sal, and I felt bad for Driscoll. Here's a guy who's been trying to make it since he was runner-up in the 2000 U.S. Amateur. This is the second time that he's lost in a playoff.
You know what? He's played 295 times out here, and he's we've seen him twice. We saw him 4 years ago at the Zurich Classic when he lost another playoff. We see him now. He'll get his $500,000 and enjoy himself for the next 4 or 5 years, and maybe we'll see him again. That's the problem with guys like James Driscoll. How do you feel anything for a guy that plays great once every couple of years?
You're so hard-hearted. You're telling me you don't feel bad for Paul Goydos either. Here's the guy's leading with 2 holes left to play, and he finishes bogey. One of the great guys out there.
He is one of the great guys, but that's a cardinal sin. La Cantera is one of the easiest golf courses on the PGA Tour, and to go bogey, that's complete choke job and things like that. But
man.
Hey, what are you going to say?
I don't know. I just here's a guy. He slid an artery for us at the Players Championship, talking about all the stuff he's gone through the last few months. His former wife died 4 months ago. He's had custody of his 2 daughters, teenage daughters, for several years now. He took a year off just to basically concentrate on being a dad. Back in '04, and it's just. There's so much that you don't know about what goes on behind the scenes with a golfer, and people have to contend, with all kinds of crazy things, and it's just, I don't know. I'd have loved to have seen this guy pull it off. It would have been a great story.
It would have been a great story, and I was rooting for Goydos and everything, but he just didn't get the deed done, and that's what it is. It's 72
Well,
holes.
Somebody who did get it done and made a great story was this Shane Lowry, the amateur who won the Irish Open.
And you know what? That is a great story because he becomes the second person on the European Tour as an amateur to win. And, he's a pretty neat little story.
Well, 22 years old. He's the son of a very famous Gaelic football player, Brandon Lowry. He comes from a town in County Offaly, which is right smack in the center of Ireland. The town is called Clara. And he's the latest celebrity to come out of Clara. And that list would include the current, and forgive me, my Gaelic may not be so good, but the current Taoiseach, which is basically the Prime Minister of Ireland, who is Brian Cowan, the author William Trevor, and Sal, you probably didn't know that Barack Obama's great-great-great-grandfather on his mom's side is from County Offaly. So, and I'll tell you too, this guy, he was 16th in the World Amateur ranking coming into this. And the kid can play. There's no question about it. I kind of did a little research and looked at the last tournaments he played to get points in the Scratch Players Amateur ranking, which is kind of the rival to the R&A's ranking. And in 22 medal play starts recently that are on that list, he won 7 times, and he finished out of the top 10 only once. And then in the home internationals, which are the 2 big match play events that they play over there, he was 9-1-2. Kid's a stick.
Well, now, is he going to help the team? Because the Walker Cup is just 4 months away, and that's a pretty big deal for an Irish kid.
Well, whether he's going to play in the Walker Cup remains to be seen. We'll probably, by the time people watch this video, we'll probably know whether he's going to turn pro or not, because it's a big lure there, the two-year exemption that he gets. But like you say, the Walker Cup is huge over there, much bigger than it is over in the States. But the Walker Cup is in September at Marion Golf Club in outside of Philadelphia. He might just stay amateur until then. I don't know, but it's not like he just made a bunch of money toward the race to Dubai this year.
Right, and boy, I tell you, the race to Dubai is looking a little shaky right now, wouldn't you say?
Well, I'm not so sure. Some people are speculating that it's this company Leisure Corp, which is bankrolling this thing. They've made a 5-year commitment to the race to Dubai for $150 million. The sponsorship to have the race to Dubai name, $20 million a year for the Dubai World Championship. They're building a Middle East headquarters for the European Tour on one of their properties over there. But this Leisure Corp just got taken over by the state-owned Nakheel organization, which is a division of Dubai World. And these are the people that built those islands out there, that you can see from outer space. Mm-hmm. All the gaudy hotels and retail complexes and everything. I don't know what that bodes for it, but I do have an idea. What do you think?
Well, you know what? I've always thought about this, that the Leisure Corps, good company and things like that, but they may have bitten off more than they could chew on something along this line. It's a lot of money to do. Dubai is having terrible problems financially, even though the state is propping it up. Give you an example, they don't have bankruptcy or anything like that, and they're finding close to 1,000 cars a month at the airport because people just kind of like drop it off on their way back home to India or someplace else, to flee the country. So everything is, on shaky grounds. We're starting to see some reporting. John Hopkins from the London Times had a interesting story. Alistair Tate of Golf Week had some interesting things. I just don't think they're going to make it through the 5 years.
I disagree with you. George O'Grady, the head of the European Tour, insists that everything is secure. And I don't really doubt him because, this isn't like Stanford Financial or a U.S. automaker or something like this. This is a state-owned entity. And, the board of directors on this company, or Dubai World, is all sheikhs and sultans and whatnot. And they're not going to let this venture fail, I don't think, because, Dubai is running out of oil. And everything, their future is based on tourism and sports, and they can't let it fail. And there's still a lot of money over there, certainly in the people that rule that country. So I think that this thing is probably safe at least for that 5-year contract.
You know what? I hope it is, because of the fact that it is pretty important for golf.
Lastly, Sal, sad news last week. A good friend of yours, Bob Rosburg, passed away. I was in college when he joined ABC, and if you watched golf at that time, he was the guy you associated with TV telecasts.
Well, Rossi was a great person, great friend of mine, and he was one of the guys that really devised what you see now being done by David Faraday, Mark Rolfing, Roger Maltby. He went out there and taught these people. He learned how to do it and made the rules on how to do on-course reporting. And you know what? He was great. He did it for 31 years for ABC Sports, and he was a gentleman to us all. We all loved him, and we're all going to miss him. And condolences go out to his lovely wife, Becky, and to the 3 Rosburg kids, especially Rossi Jr., who I grew up with.
Well spoken, Sal. You were very privileged to have worked with him as long as you did, and I would agree with you, and I join in you in expressing sympathy to the family, and he's somebody who's definitely going to be missed in the world of golf.
Well, yeah, we will all miss him. Well, Dave, thanks for another edition, and we'll talk to you in a couple of days when we'll preview what's going to happen at the Byron Nelson.
Very good.